Hello and welcome to your favorite, my favorite, and Danny's favorite podcast. It's the Stockhypers. How's it going, Danny?
I am doing very well, Brian. How are things?
Things are good. Not too bad. I'm uh I'm in well, we're both in San Diego and it's friggin' gorgeous here.
We are having not a bad winter. We just had our first rain of the entire winter
Yeah,
in
and that sucked. I felt miserable for like a week because it rained a few inches, and I don't know how people in other areas do it. I'm
it
so
is
friggin'
nice.
spoiled. Holy
It
mackerel.
is. How was the portfolio come along, Brian?
So today, not such a great day, Danny. How are you doing? Because I got
Good.
up this morning and it was all these D-money stocks that were doing well, and I was just kind of like sideways the whole day. And I think I ended up down in both my trading account and my IRA, which is
Really? No,
yeah.
I was up almost a point today, a little bit more after hours. So pretty,
Oh, good for you. I was
yeah, pretty good
down
day.
half in the IRA and in the trading account, down half.
Well,
So
my stars have been bros, which I've now tripled.
nice.
That's been fantastic. That was a good one today. Duolingo's up. I've almost just under tripled that.
Hmm.
One question if you don't mind getting into it this early, Brian, I had, if
I'm
you
ready.
would, is Similar Web, which has been a great stock, had a recent down day about 30% last week, I think last Friday.
That was after earnings.
Yeah, it was after earnings, dropped a lot.
Mm,
I bought more. It's probably dropped maybe 8% since then. I do like this one, Brian,
yeah.
long term.
Okay.
What is your hyper hate that one? Let's go retro on that one. What do you think of this one long term?
Ooh, hyper hate. I would say that
Do
that's a
you need more stats first, Brian? Do you want some numbers to work around? Or are you good? Or just in general?
just in general. We've talked about this one in the past, and I kind of felt like this is not super defensible type of company, right? Type of business where they're just analyzing web traffic, right?
Well, they're analyzing it, but it's doing the best of class where it gets to be a default.
I
So in other
guess.
words, you're
How much
concerned
would you
that
pay for that information?
well, I wouldn't pay anything for it, dude. I don't pay for ChatGPT. I don't pay for, I'd be the guy in the subway jumping over the thing. So you're
Okay.
talking to the wrong guy on that one. For
I
me, had I had the
yeah.
business, I would pay someone for it. And it seems
Mhm.
like they're doing the best. They're clearly the industry leader now from when we first started talking about it.
Yeah.
It's at a great stock for me. I wish kick myself for not getting more. And with the drop, I'm still paying more than I started, but it's been 30%, now about 35% off the peak. Let's see, Brian. So on February 5th, a couple weeks ago, they're at 1746. Now they're at 1031.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Yeah, let's call it 35.67%. I do like them long term
Why is
because they're
that?
small, $840 million company.
Mhm.
They're growing steadily. Let's call it 20%. They're almost profitable. It's what threw people off, I think, is that their profitability kind of went backwards, which I don't really care about because they're growing.
Okay.
So, long term, it's not going to be $100 billion company, right?
I mean, maybe they get bought, maybe it gets rolled
Hmm.
into something and
But
makes
isn't it
that.
viable? I mean, aren't web analytics or ratings
Oh yeah, totally.
very viable,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And maybe they spin it into other avenues of web traffic and marketing and things like that.
Hmm. So hyper hate me. Long term, buy and hold, put in a drawer, forget about it.
If they talk about AI, then
Wait,
you're
isn't that past? Aren't we past?
yeah, I
What is
think
the
we're
next
past
hype
that.
cycle?
Yeah.
What
I don't know. I don't
AI
think
will help
it's
them, by the way. That'll get costs way down.
I just remember when you started bringing this one up, it was like $5 to $6, maybe four, five, $6,
Right.
and now it dropped quite a bit. I think if the rest of the market goes up, they'll kind of catch the tailwind. If not, then I don't know. It would not be the one that I'd be risking money in, I guess.
So are you going to hyper hate it,
I'm
Brian?
gonna hate it. Yeah, I'm gonna hate
Okay.
it. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go.
yeah.
I notice, Brian, sometimes when
Hmm.
you get a recommendation of a friend, like, okay, cool, we're on
Hmm.
the same page. All
Yeah,
right, I'm emboldened.
right.
But what is almost more clarity is when someone whose opinion you respect, right, or I wouldn't ask you,
Yeah.
doesn't like it or likes it, and you think the opposite, is like, you know what? I really think they're wrong on this one.
Yeah.
And that's when you know you
And
really
I
like
could
the
be.
stock.
I
Right.
could.
So it kind of gives
I
you
don't
clarity
know.
one
I
way or
don't
another.
know
Right.
anything about the company. I really have not. I don't. have
Right.
any like
But I guess the point is the
analysis on it.
hyper hate is to get clarity, and
Mhm.
sometimes by you taking the opposite, like, you know what, I'm really convinced on this one.
Yeah, yeah.
So it kind of gives yourself the clarity in that one. So with that said, it kind of got me the clarity that way.
Okay,
So
did you just slap me in the face with your glove and challenge me to a duel? Is that what happened?
no, no, because I was asking for clarity and I got it. It
Okay.
just got it in a different way than you'd normally expect.
Okay. Yeah,
So
similar web.
I'm gonna hype that.
I
I'm
don't know
actually
that
gonna
I
buy
would
more
pay
of that
for it,
one.
and so, but I like to buy things that I would actually pay money for.
Correct. I could see that to a point. A lot of products that, I sell, I don't buy. So okay.
Right.
Run
Except
different
like
sizes.
your product, Dan, remember last week, Danny, you were bringing up your new item, right? New
Yes.
business that you were starting.
Right.
I know I'd be a buyer of that.
Good. Right.
I'm not giving you investment money, but if you went public, I'd want shares. How about that?
Okay. Good. Well, you will get shares for all the help you have been generously done. You will actually get a lot of shares, Brian. So
Do you have any pl okay, so before we move on to, I'd love to hear more about that, but did you have any other stock stuff going on this week?
that's the main one. I bought a bunch on Friday, which I'm happy with. I had gotten the trade
Bought a
desk
bunch of
recently.
similar web or something else?
No, something else. So recently I've done a lot more moves.
Yeah.
Is I have expanded on the type of portfolio I like and has really played out well the last couple years is
Yeah.
smaller tech companies with growth.
Hmm.
A trade desk is not. I got into it late again on the 30% plunge. We talked about that.
Hmm.
Soundhound, pardon me, Soundhound I liked. AI, because that got on a plunge. That's actually up 8% in a few days, but that really ebbs and flows. So just the smaller ones I've done, Brian, which I like, and the other one is IREN, which does we talked about last week, is
Right. They
essentially
did
like a
the,
local power broker,
yeah.
right? So nothing exciting. My big one I want to put in a lot more to similar web, which I think I'll do tomorrow because they've dropped a bit. So
Do you still have Lucid? Because you and I did a Lucid play maybe 2 weeks ago.
I had bought that again. This is again based on they were the uncool company. EVs are out because Trump's coming in. Everything's against them. Didn't think that was the case. So you get a good quality company, undervalued, still high risk. I do have that, Brian, and I'm up now 12% on that one. So I'm happy. A
Yeah.
small but not minuscule, under $1,000. So
Okay.
what
So I
do you
had
still
that.
have that one?
I had it in my trading account and I had it in the IRA. I bought it both at the same time.
This is
And
recently, right?
this is recently, so like maybe
Okay.
2 weeks ago. So I was up maybe 8%, 7%, somewhere around there, and I ditched it from the trading account because it's a trade, right? So I was like,
Right. That's
I'm
great.
totally
8%
happy
in
with
two
that.
weeks.
But
Outstanding.
I left it in the IRA, and
Oh.
like you, I think it's 12 or so percent up. So
Mhm.
I actually think that SUV is the catalyst to them becoming a more well-rounded, seeing more of those on the road, and I like the branding. I did not like the sedan after seeing it for a while. I don't like the
Really?
two-tone, but I really, really love that SUV that they have coming
That's
out.
interesting. I
Yeah.
always thought they just had a nice product. I
Yeah.
thought they're vastly different,
Hmm.
pardon me, second place to Tesla.
Hmm.
And I like the fact, in terms of this specifically, that we'll never let Chinese cars in, which Chinese RVs are cheaper and better. That's just a fact. And we'll never let them in. So you have an unusual wall of protectionism,
Hmm.
which not a lot of industries get. And I don't see that changing for a long time.
Did you see that Trump was introducing a 25% tariff on cars coming into the US?
I did not. There's so much of
That
that.
was
It,
two
it's just
hours ago. Like
uh,
this is breaking news right now. It's on
tariffs
the
are going to
stockhypers
be bad news long term for all of us. Good news for Lucid stock,
and Tesla.
but yeah, yeah. Well, Tesla's got its own unique thing because they're going to bend every law in the world to help them out. So that's a given. But yeah, I don't know. Those all the tariffs I'm not a big fan of.
Mhm.
The changing kind of policy is kind of hard to do with. I just got to tune it out, to be honest with you. Who knows what's going to come?
Do you,
Announcements come and go,
what do
and
you think of Tesla? Are you a Tesla bull or a bear?
Tesla's, I think, yes, but a solid winner, no doubt. I
Mhm.
bought it, make money. I bought and sold on it, so I'm happy with it.
Mhm.
I think it's highly, highly, highly overvalued. If you just look as a basic company, Brian, like you judge it, let's say like a Lucid or even a Ford, it's ridiculously overvalued. But that doesn't matter because it's a unique company, as we know. Like that, GameStop, there's certain ones, both the Trump coin or whatever the Trump media is, are just unique. You have to judge them that way. So as long as that is in play, I think this stock is fine. But if you're betting on the robots and the self-driving cars, no, I don't
You
like
don't
it. And
actually. I
also,
see. I would bet. on that, that's what I would be looking
But
at. I'd
shit,
be
it's a
like,
$1 trillion company. I mean, okay, I get it's a bet, but
yeah,
Similar Web, I'm betting on it because it's an $800 million company. If Similar Web was 50 billion, I'd say this is overpriced, right? I learned that the last bubble. Great companies, but sometimes they're overpriced.
mhm.
So Tesla is, if you're counting to come in and dominate a market, which you're already behind on, Waymo's already doing, isn't it Waymo the one in San Francisco,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They've done what, 1 million rides or hundreds of thousands. I've known people on them, they love them. So it's not like they have an advantage there. Their cars are not better than BYD. That's just a fact, right? So on that level, don't like them. However, that's not the level it's on, so it doesn't matter. It's that unique stock where people have that. Elon is great at using his flywheel publicity to start up different companies. You can merge them. So with that in mind, sure, I think it's got a, it's totally fine.
I had some interesting information today. I had coffee with a mutual friend of ours, right?
Mhm.
And he was showing me pictures of himself in a Cybertruck, and he was in like Ohio, where his dad lives, and it was snowing there. They drove all the way down to like some place where there was actually water on a lake that wasn't frozen, towing jet skis in the Cybertruck, right?
Wait a second. They're to go jet ski in February in Ohio?
Not in Ohio. They drove from Ohio to
Okay.
wherever, like a couple states south,
In
looking
Florida's like,
for,
okay,
yeah,
good for them.
looking
Okay.
for a lake that they could
Wow.
jet ski
You
on,
guys are in a jet ski, aren't they?
right? So they had like I don't know, like 800 miles or something like that they were driving in this Cybertruck, and he loved it because I was like, well, "What do you think?" And he's like, "I loved it." He says the only thing is it was cold and we had to charge it a lot because we were towing the stuff, and
Well,
they don't
that's
have
again reasonable. Okay.
here's the thing that he noticed that probably no one ever thinks about is they don't have pull through charging stations. So if you're towing something like this, the vehicle can tow a boat, can tow whatever.
Okay.
You have to park, you have to unhitch your thing,
Right.
go to one of the charging stations because you can't have that long.
Oh, so it's kind of a pain. You have to charge a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
Whereas
I
you go to a
will,
gas station, you just pull through.
cut them slack because it's a new technology. It's going to take a
No, I get you.
generation to catch up. So fair enough on that one. I won't dock them for that, but I wouldn't buy electric vehicle for that reason. I don't have to
Okay,
put
so
LA back and wait and charge. And then if there's a line, you have to wait and everyone's charging for half an hour. It's
uh,
a lot of hassle to me. I'm
all right,
not,
I'm going to lay another little note on this Tesla thing just from this
okay.
one person. His daughter bought a Tesla a few months ago, right? And she's
In
like 20,
California or back in Ohio?
23 years old. She lives in Los Angeles,
Wow, baller dollar.
right?
Baller daughter. Good for her.
Yes.
Okay.
So she's got this Tesla and she's like totally happy with it. You know, like all of her friends
Great
drive
car. Yeah.
it. This
Yeah.
is the 23-year-old Los Angeles, mover and shaker. And the interesting thing I thought was he, without me even prompting, he's like, yeah, and she has the self-driving. She pays monthly for the self-driving as well. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, she loves it. She'll never go back from from having that self-driving. And I just thought, wow,
Interesting.
that's the extra market that every other car maker does not have is that monthly subscription going on with their
Right,
stuff.
which is one of the many things I'm not a fan of him personally,
Hmm.
having 30 kids and not raising them, but whatever. But clearly for Tesla, he was way ahead of it. It's incredibly difficult to pull off,
Hmm.
and he did it. And it's still clearly a spectacular product. Just the valuation of the company is what I'm calling the question.
Yeah.
So she drives without driving, kind of. That's, I know, oversimplified. She enjoys that.
Yeah.
See, I'm like,
Especially got to remember like you're in Los Angeles and you're on these
gosh.
freeways for, like a long period of time in traffic. It probably is terrific to have that service, right?
So that actually accelerates and brakes. You don't have to worry about that either. That would be a plus,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't just steer, it does the acceleration and brakes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just I mean, you could be on TikTok and
Right. But okay, Brian, so if someone cuts you off, does it flip off the driver for you? Do you give them the F-bomb? Does it do that for you? Or you still do it yourself?
I think that's a
That's
button
a
that
New
you
York
push in
version.
its Cybertruck probably.
There's like a button for it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Curious.
yeah. Road
No, I
rage
think it's a
mode.
great product. Cybertruck's not for me. I'm not a truck guy.
Hmm.
You see it in the road, that's fine.
Hmm.
I do like there's something different, like innovation. There's a lot to like about it. I think it's an
Yeah.
overvalued company that it's such a hard one to figure out. I would
The
say for you, it's been dropping a lot. Is buy it when it drops, it'll eventually rise again, and then sell it and just rinse and repeat. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. That it's a
Danny,
$1 trillion economy.
you know what's interesting about those particular vehicles is especially the Cybertruck, is it is a like you're starting this business, right?
Hmm.
You have a brand that you want to get out there, right? You want a
Hmm.
brand
Sure.
recognition, and sometimes having like your car wrapped with your brand, not only are you really making use of the idea of writing off your vehicle for business,
Right.
but it also could be like if you're doing events and things like that, it's kind of interesting. I've always thought about that. Like, okay, so I wrote a pirate book, right? So I have
It's
my
fantastic, by the
my
way.
Pirates of the Wild West book, and I have like a bumper sticker on the back of the car. Um, my other car is a 200-ton, 24 gun pirate ship, right? And
Hmm.
people ask me about that all the time when they see it at these events, and I thought I could take it to the next level and like get something and wrap it in like some sort of pirate
Oh,
motif,
certainly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that would it'd be a business expense, blah blah blah. But I think it's an interesting marketing thing to think about, like when you are getting
Farther
into
along.
having
Right.
product and doing events with
Right.
your new product.
I think that'd be a real good idea. Seeing how that goes, be probably more of, I guess, a van or a work van, something like that.
Mhm.
Didn't Mr. Because I'm looking to selling, I'm like selling premium nuts and seeds. We're doing direct to consumer. But
Right.
didn't Planners have the peanut mobile? Didn't that do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's right. They did.
And okay, and the most iconic of all is the Oscar Myers
The
Wiener.
Oscar Mayer winner hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, Brian, once on the highway.
Yeah.
We live in San Diego, which is, and we're in I-5, this city.
Hmm.
San Diego's a beautiful area called Coronado, which takes this big, beautiful bridge over that we're pretty famous for at Hotel Del.
Yeah.
I saw that with my son, and I said, dude, we're following that. It took the Coronado exit. I took that, and it was one of my better, I guess, boss moves. It was my 7-year-old. And
Yeah.
so we're driving across the bridge next to it has this beautiful view of the bay,
Uh-huh.
the ocean. Hotel Del San Diego, and I was right next to the Peanut Mobile. So I still remember it. This is what, 10 years later.
Hmm.
So yes, I think that's a great idea. So
Mm.
and upsurp him. So maybe I'd go more of the Batmobile look, maybe the ultra cool, and not the Adam West series, which I love, but I'm gonna go more of, let's say, any one of the Batmans, I guess. Maybe the muscle car, the new one. So
Yeah, look at that thing. That thing is so cool. The Oscar Mayer hot dog.
iconic.
It,
70s, it just screams what, 1973, 72?
yeah, yeah. I've seen it many times. I mean, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
multiple of those vehicles. But even like Red Bull was doing that too. Like
Yeah.
there would
Well, they're the
always be the
masters.
Red
They're the
Bull pan
masters.
car, and they would have like really pretty women like giving out Red Bulls when they first launched.
Well, they've evolved into the skydives from space. They are the
Yeah.
masters of doing that.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating story in its own. That whole thing, start to finish, is
Hmm.
fascinating story. So yeah, so that's it. So business is good. So Brian, what do you do in trades before we get into that? What's going on
My
with the
trades are only I'm in Soundhound and I'm just kind of watching that one. I'm actually underwater in that. Uh, and then I have Weight Watchers underwater in that one. These are like trades that I started last week, so either early or gonna get killed. I don't know what's gonna happen, but otherwise I'm just mostly cash and playing the bull or bear Qs ETFs. And so I
Wow.
will just look at which way the Qs are going in the morning and just try to ride a little bit one way or the other.
What do you make of? Okay, so the Weight Watchers one we get in because
Mhm.
it trades a lot.
Yeah.
The Ozempic play, and
We
then if you
get
look
in
at
because we're thinking their customer base is ripe for an Ozempic product, right? Like they got the
right.
huge customer base. Why wouldn't they be in this? Like Hims, right?
It's like almost like a wrapper, like
And the
like
company's
a
just been devastated. Like they got a new CEO this year, or I guess it would be last year, and so there's a rebuilding process of this
Wow,
company.
that's a big one, Brian. That out of
Yeah,
your look the numbers, if you look at the numbers in that company,
it's
they
not
are
good.
horrific.
Yeah.
No, there's not like that. Just looks like it's a rocket ship about to explode on the ground, going,
Mhm.
lost its
Yeah.
power. Yeah, so it's a play. We did it. What we gained like 43%. I sold it, bought back in, down about 20. So I'm just gonna write it out if it goes up again, as simple as that. If I do any trades, that's gonna be the one. It's
Yeah,
only
it's an
$100
interesting
really.
one. You, like we bought it around $1. It went up to like $1.70. I thought we made like 70%, or at least I did.
I
I,
made 43%, I think. So I know you did better because you bought earlier.
I bought earlier and I bought more, and so that was a really excellent trade. And I remember both of us being on the phone talking about it, and I think either I'm gonna give you credit. You're just like, I don't know why we're holding this. Let's just sell it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And we did it right then on the phone. It was like a bonding experience. And
Well,
so
let's go on that really quick. I remember we're
yeah,
selling that. We're up 43%. You're up more than I said, Brian,
yeah,
this is a trade, right?
hmm
Yes. You look to sell 2%, right?
yeah,
Yes. I'm thinking I'm up 43% in this a few weeks.
yeah,
This company's a train wreck. Why are we still holding? I think you got the
yeah,
anxiety. So kind of shows you if you're up a lot,
yeah.
don't try and guess higher. Just get out when you're making
Yeah.
a killing, right?
Well, then we were back because we got back in, but I didn't buy that much of it. I bought
Yeah.
just a few hundred shares at like, I don't know, it was like 86,
I know,
87,
crazy.
maybe somewhere
Yeah.
around 90 cents or something like that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Well, it gives us money to buy, I guess, fun things like in and out for a while. So cool. So no big trades, nothing new, nothing too exciting, Brian. Is that the deal?
No, I'm a little worried about the whole economy and, the stock market isn't the economy, but like,
Well, there's a downstream effect. First up is going to be the stock
yeah,
market.
it's been really good for a while. So a correction could be in the making. It's hard to time the market and things like that, but I'm not willing to go
Hmm.
risking that much money. Right now, I think I only have about 30% of the cash for the trading account invested. The rest of it is sitting in
Really?
cash.
Well, since
In Robinhood,
October,
earning 4.5%. So,
well, that's good.
can't beat that.
Since October 23, I'm up about 120%. So I'm always wary of it and ready to
Yeah.
sell, right?
hmm
So what do you think in terms of the economy? What do you think about the trend of layoffs, right?
hmm
Which is all over, which
Yeah.
is will save everyone money. It's I think that was kind of started when by Musk when he bought Twitter and he
hmm
got rid of 80%. Because previous to that, you'd always look like an asshole if you're laying off people, you dance around it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He said, hey, fuck you, 80% you're gone. I don't care. And sue me to get your benefits. That kind of broke the ice, and you've seen, a lot to follow. It's blazed away. You see it in the private, now in the public.
hmm
Long term, and I guess middle term, with all the unemployment, is that going to affect unemployment? And the downstream effects of that. Do you think that's going to affect the market relatively soon, 3, 6, 9 months out, Brian?
Danny, I don't know how it couldn't
Mhm.
because you see it, you have government being laid off or fired. You
Right.
have Meta getting rid of, what do you say, 5%? That's a lot of people in that company.
On top of the already done layoffs. And it seems
Yes.
right, right.
And it's going all across the tech industry. So these
With
aren't
no end
like,
in sight, right?
yeah, I think I would be a little bit worried about my job working for one of those bigger companies because they don't care, they don't really need you,
Right.
and the idea what Zuckerberg is doing is interesting because he's not saying we don't need these people. He's saying I don't need dead weight, and so if you're
Which is
not,
fair. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. So if you're not making a lot of um, interesting things and making a lot of really good headway in that business, you could be gone. And he says, I'll hire somebody else, but I'm not, I'm evaluating these people and I'm cutting them
Right.
out if they're
And
not.
you think there's probably more to come, it seems like, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Just in general. And then I guess the big question on everyone's mind is our drivers of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile going to get laid off? Because that's where it's really going to hurt.
See, now that could help you because, if they get laid
Oh, good.
off, they're going to be looking for a job and you need a good mascot car driver.
I'm about to announce an IPO, Brian, so we can all take advantage of that. So kind of scary on that one. Yeah, I agree with that one.
No,
Okay, Brian. So
look, it's been great for a while. We've had,
yeah.
4 or 5
Wow.
really good years. Since COVID kind of started having less effect on the economy when we started
Yeah.
to open up.
Last couple have been good for it. It's always easy to make money
Mhm.
when it's obviously it's going up. Because I'm not a big shorts or puts guy. So especially in tech, I tend to go up more than the NASDAQ, but also go down more than the NASDAQ. So
Yeah,
starts going down, I'm going to run for the hills, Brian.
you are.
Okay, Brian, do you want to hear a recap of my fabulous new company, which is going to make America healthy?
Make America healthy again. I love it. Okay, so I don't know if
Oops,
they ever were, but go ahead.
yeah,
Tell me, what
that's
is the
actually a very
recap?
good point. So one of the things I've done is, briefly, I'm making a nuts and seeds company,
hmm
unique packaging, more of an upscale brand.
hmm
There's plenty of room for it in the market. I'm really behind it. So that's what I've been doing. And I've been in import business, retail business, but never direct to consumer business. So I have a little bit of a learning curve, right?
Yeah.
What I've realized, the theme I've got recently, it's the old adage of measure twice and cut once, right? My
Okay.
initial plan, hey, I got the packaging. I'm going to go to China, get the sample sent, get the packaging from China. All the nuts and seeds will be from here.
Hmm.
I realized, I didn't do a lot of little things, right? I need to make sure the sizing's right to optimize shipping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
right. So I'm like, okay, I
before
may have
you,
jumped the gun. Luckily, I stopped before I ordered them, which I'm glad.
okay.
So one of the things now is to do is if you're starting this up, you got to secure the copyright. I just looked on that. Looks like my name is good, so I'm going to pay for that. And then once that's in, I'll let everyone know what the name of it is. It's just going over a lot of stuff I should have done beforehand. Luckily, I stopped. So I kind of caught myself from making a medium-sized mistake, right? Beginners doing it. And the plan is we've talked about is I'm going to start with sell them on Etsy and Shopify and that, do a relatively small batch, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
and then make my mistakes and then go into hopefully mass production, reuse white label shipping and go to Amazon, etc. So I'm
Okay.
kind of giving myself, I guess, an academy to do it, a couple of years probationary period, everyone will call it.
Hmm.
And that sounds like a sound strategy, right?
It does. And I was curious, did you decide on, were you able to get like a domain for the website with a
Domains I
.com or?
have, well, another good thing, do I get the domain first or do I get the copyright clearance first? I thought, okay, so I just went in, got the copyright clearance, it looks good, so I'm gonna send in the paperwork.
Hmm.
So at least that's pending. I do have the domain I like, so I'm happy about that. So I
Oh,
have
good.
that.
Okay.
The logo looks fine. I'm just doing a double check. I've never had to do that with a copyright. It's pretty basic, really. A
Hmm.
lot of this stuff, Brian, is really, really basic. And there's a lot of help with the internet. One of the things I should mention that was a really big help, and I didn't do early enough, was when it comes to prototyping, right?
Hmm.
I had bought some stuff which I'm essentially going to use. Like, well, let me just go back. I just use Meta AI. So I'm going to go back to AI and you prompt it. And man, these fantastic things came out. Even from 3 months ago, that's gotten a lot better.
Really? I haven't
So the
used.
AI can give you great pictures. In fact, I'm going to send them to you tomorrow morning to have you take a look at them of different types. It's fantastic. So that is a cost saver right there. There's so many tools, Brian, to do a business like this is a 1 or 2 person operation,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to a big one. And that was one of the things I've learned is take advantage of all the things that are out there. So it's just fantastic on that. So one of the things, Brian, I want to run past you is the numbers work out great if I can sell a pre-pack for about $40, right? Is
Pre-pack
that
of how many
right?
units?
Well, it'd be 3 big ones or possibly 10 of the to-go things, right? I
Mhm.
decided to go for 2 sizes because badass looking. And I had a guy send a sample out, fantastic company we'll mention later, just give them a shout out because they're so great to deal with. Is he sent out a big version of it basically. And I always wonder what it looked like. And man, it looks awesome. I mean,
Okay.
holding it,
Yeah.
it really feels nice. Part of this is a whole aesthetics of it. And the
Mhm.
reason for aesthetics is selfishly, I will sell more, right?
Right.
But the other hand, if people have something they like and hold on to, they're going to use it more, right? And so
Yeah.
they eat better, healthy things, nuts and seeds, as opposed to Cheetos or potato chips, right? So
Okay.
it's definitely a dual purpose. So I'm going to go for that. And I was thinking about adding a third one of more the traditional packaging using a bag, but of course better looking, and it'd be
Mhm.
compostable and craft paper, right? To get more of the starter ones in there because I'm not used to upscale things or premium. I'm used to discount stuff, which has served me well, Brian. Is 40 too much of an ask to do it, or should I have like a smaller version, the same look, but like in a bag, so it's cheaper to send out maybe a $10 or $15 offering at first,
I
or
don't.
have both of them. So I'd have a
Yeah.
bag, small
Forty
to go
forty
size,
dollars
and big
sounds
size.
like a lot. I mean,
Right.
I think you could certainly have that SKU on your website and other places.
Hmm.
I think a $20
Hmm.
like almost like a try me kind of thing
Right.
until people are comfortable with what they're getting from you.
I do too.
Reorders could be $40. Like initial order, I think you want $20 and you want free shipping. I don't know
I
how
do
you
too.
get there with your product, but that's what you have to work like in reverse of, I think.
Well, here's I'm just talking about real solid profit margin. So in the long term, it'd work out really well. So
Hmm.
you're saying that is too much to start out with Premier Nut. People, that's a lot for nuts. Go in the 20 or lower.
Hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So, okay, that's the one thing I want to kind of confirm with you, run past you that way.
Okay.
So that's basically it. Also, one of the things, this would also make for a good gift. I mean, it's almost tempting to go into the gift basket space like on Etsy, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of them out there. And those are all in the 40, 50, 60 range. They're surprisingly high. So we'll see on that one. So my next step, Brian, is
Hmm.
going to be looking into advertising, which is a cost of doing business. Now,
Right.
there's a one way to do it free, which we did with stockhypers. We experimented a couple years ago with doing the YouTube shorts and
Yes.
we did the TikTok, but we got hundreds of thousands of views over it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, over the spread out videos, we didn't know what we're doing. We tried a bunch of different stuff, went into politics, pop culture, stocks, long version, short version, just kind of experiment, right?
Yeah.
So that is the one thing that way. And one of the angles you see a lot of is showing people build their own business. What do you think of that? What would you recommend, Brian? Because you've produced a movie, you've did books, you've acted, you've produced. What would you tell me and others like me in terms of, hey,
Well, I
what
think,
angle would you take?
okay, well, I would say, and I got this advice from other people as well. And my old partner, Brent from Shark Tank, talked about this as well. Like we missed an opportunity. So maybe don't miss an opportunity. And you're talking about it on this podcast, which is great. But I think um, filming or using social media to show how all of this happens, to show the roadmap, is
Behind the scenes of the companies that you're talking
basically
about, right?
behind the scenes. I think people like that, and I think people can get invested in the
Emotional
product
investment.
because of the person that founded it, right?
Okay.
Founders are interesting to people, and we all love success stories, and I think that's why Shark Tank did so well. Is the general public of the United States and the world like to see the struggles and how somebody succeeds. And I think it's a compelling way to build a brand. You see a lot of it on TikTok where people
Hmm.
are talking about their production lines and how much they've sold this time, what the challenges are. People that are authors do the same thing. They talk about the challenges of being a self-published author and
This is
those
this is
trials and
book
tribulations.
talk essentially, right?
Yeah, book talk. That's what you should do because you can't, like, when Brent and I were talking about the Shark Tank thing, it was like we can't go back and retroactively film all those things that happened, right? You have the
Right.
opportunity now to start it because once you're there, you
Right.
nobody you're in a different
Different narrative, right?
yeah,
Different narrative, right?
yeah.
Yes. So
This is
you're for the ideas.
authentically happening to you right now. And that's
Okay.
what YouTube is all about. That's what TikTok is all about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so you think that's compelling, a good way to go about it. There's definitely compelling things
I
there,
don't
right?
see how there's a negative to it, right?
Okay.
Okay, if
Right.
somebody could point out a negative of that, or somebody who took that same road and the experience was bad in some way or made it worse,
Well,
uh,
the negative I could think of is I don't brush my hair, but the guy for Palantir doesn't brush his hair either. So I think that path is blazed. Is that right?
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So you like that strategy in terms of obviously you have to advertise, but a
Mhm.
big part of it is start that up, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why you don't do it. You should do
Right.
it.
Okay, so let's go back into that, Brian. You did that on Shark Tank, and the product you had was called Radiate Campfire, was sold for over $1 million. Wild success. You won twice, basically, on Shark Tank, another appearance, and then you went on The View, which is a huge hit. So the one kind of regret you have for that, aside from not naming the product after me, would be that you didn't document it, right? But that was what, 5, 6 years, 7 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
so that would have been 20
Even the
starting in 2017.
But
But
that
that
would have been probably longer form YouTube videos at the time, right?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Which is the same basic thing, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If
So good publicity.
I
Mhm.
would imagine if we had started something, and this is like, completely Monday morning quarterbacking the whole
Sure.
situation, but in 2017, if Brent and I started to show videos of what we were doing and developing, and then that wild road for 6 or 8 months, whatever it was, start to finish with Shark Tank, and then
Hmm.
the after, I
Oh,
think it
especially
probably
beforehand.
like whatever we were doing with the product would pale by what the YouTube channel would be generating.
Right. And especially because you started that pre-Shark Tank,
Yes.
which in that case was a big one. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Remember, I saw Netflix, there's a thing on AOC
Mhm.
where they happened to film. I think AOC came from the Bernie movement. Remember the Bernie with the fingers? Remember that? Feel
No.
the burn?
Uh-uh.
Well, I think she came and three others came. They followed four. I think four first-time Congress people, long shots. I think two
Yeah.
Democrats, two Republicans, something. But anyway, they actually, and she was going to lose by, a large amount or something, whatever in New York. The guy was like third ranking, whatever.
Mhm.
So it shows her and I think her boyfriend going to the bar, which is going to be, a victory party, but just people saying, hey, you gave it a good shot at the time.
Yeah.
And they're filming her, and she walked in there right as she's winning. It's really a neat moment, whether you like her or not. It's like, wow, it's cool that they actually caught that on camera. The
That's
other
amazing.
three, it wasn't as cool because I don't think they won, but and then she went on to become that. So I think you're right. If it does click, that's quite a cool moment to look back.
And if it doesn't, it's still documented. Like it
Right.
still has value, if not to everyone else that's watched it, but to you is like, like,
Okay.
oh, your son can go
Cool.
always look back and go, yeah, look at this is my dad. He made
Okay.
this thing, or
Cool. Anything I'm doing wrong that you see to my approach before we go, Brian? Anything you'd recommend to me?
I think you should have just gone public right away. I think you should have just been a SPAC,
A
and
SPAC?
yeah,
Can you get Chamath on the horn for me, please?
I,
Because he's
I
the
think he's
king of
looking for
SPACs.
something new.
Do you want to hear the wildest stat is people made more money off the what was the crypto thing that imploded? What's his face? The guy with the guy that doesn't brush his hair.
Oh
He's
yeah,
in
yeah,
jail.
yeah. Yeah, I forgot what that guy
I
is.
know it's not weird how he just
Yeah,
churns shit out. It's like he won't
yeah.
forget. But they made more money off of that because crypto rebounded. They actually made money
Oh
than
right.
they did off Chamax, all those SPACs combined. It was a
Yeah.
funny stat on that one. So
All
okay,
right.
so
So what is
basically
your
keep
so what is your plan for next week? Like, I want to hear an update, but what are you doing this week to get to that next
I'm
spot?
continuing to actually nail down boxes. This is boring stuff. I won't get too
Yeah,
much weeds.
packaging.
Boxes. I'm going to get my copyright,
Hmm.
and then I'll hopefully have the domain if that goes in. See how it goes and have the domain
In
that way.
1 week, you're going to
So
do all that. I love it.
yeah. So oh yeah, I have a list. There's like about 30 things.
Hmm.
I have you look at a progress chart. You know they kind of fill up.
Yeah.
I'm full in a lot of them. So it's I think
Okay.
I'm not doing enough. But I look at now from when I was doing a few weeks ago, and a lot
Oh,
of stuff
I just
done.
thought of something that you had glossed over that I wanted to question about because it's really important, and we've had to do
Okay.
this in our businesses. um, your optimization of shipping because you're going to be going direct to consumer through the
Yes,
internet.
that's a big one. That's
If
taken.
you can tell the numbers of that next time, I think that would be very interesting and compelling because,
It's
and I
glad
want
you
to
brought
hear.
up. And Brian, I didn't realize how important the size, cubic size, and the weight,
Yeah,
what a difference it makes to the bottom line. So that's kind of in the weeds. I don't know how I'll try to make it interesting, but also very important. And that has taken up a lot of time, much more than I.
what did you come up with and why? And what was
Okay,
what did you have to do to make that work? Because if you're
I
going to do
will.
something for $20, that shipping is very important. That could be
Right.
way more than $5 just to
Okay, and
ship
I'll
it.
do that. And what I'll do is I'll give that to my AI agent. My
Hmm.
personal assistant was AI
Okay.
now, and I'll
Yeah.
have him do it. Cool, Brian. Okay, so is that about wrap things up, Chief?
And that's the pod. We'll see you next week.